This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, Ben.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Great.
What happened to your wrist?
I'm due in for a bone fusion operation in a couple of weeks, and because I'll have no flex in my wrist, I won't be able to bend it this way or this way once they fuse the bones. The surgeons told me to wear this for that couple of weeks and make sure that I can still do everything I need to do without bending my wrist.
Yeah.
Because once they fuse it, I won't be able to bend my wrist. But if I find it too difficult, they'll do a prosthetic wrist for me instead of a fusion,
Okay.
which has limitations.
hmm
Means I won't be able to pick up more than 5 kilos with my hand.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. What a hassle. I've been really panicking to get back here on time today,
Uh,
but we are here, and here we are. Yeah. Don't worry, Fiona. Cats are welcome. The dogs. Yeah. So where are you up to with stuff, Fiona?
Hi everyone. That's always yeah, that's a good question. Probably a whole lot of confusion for me that I'm experiencing. Had sort of a shift in perspective. Can't remember, like 2017, and then I had a teacher sort of walk me through a bit of clarity, and had just kind of a bigger shift, I guess. I think that there's been just quite a challenging couple of years between then and now.
Well, tell me what's been challenging about it.
What's been challenging about it? I think obviously the person that I thought I was has sort of slowly kind of fallen away. So used to be quite a high performer at work, which was all driven out of something rather toxic. And so I've actually found it very hard to be in work in corporate environments. So I'm currently actually not in work at the moment. And so diagnosed autoimmune disease. So I've lost a lot of energy as well. So yeah.
So do you imagine that motivation that was driven by that whatever toxic thing you mentioned was there, that's fallen away because of a shift, and so consequently you're not such a high performer anymore? Is that a good description?
Yeah, it appears that way.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, and I mean, it's my imagining, but based on, I guess, lots of television and some people that I've spoken to and so on, that corporate situation that you were talking about in itself is pretty toxic. You know, there's a about a 99% fakeness about the whole thing, eh? So that you're having to pretend all the time. A lot of stress involved in that.
Yeah, and
Whereas,
I keep on picking that up and saying, okay, I've got to go back in.
Mm. Do you imagine it's possible to exist in that environment as a person that is awake and at peace with themselves, in themselves?
I want to say no.
Mm.
Today it feels like no. Yeah, it's a no.
Mm. Okay. I want to say yes, but with full acceptance and realization of the difficulties involved. But as an awake person, do you know the saying "water off a duck's back"? You familiar with that one?
Yeah,
Yeah, that toxicity that's there that is normal. Instead of it being wrong and bad, is just the way it is. And that's the way those environments have developed, and that's the way they operate. And nobody in that environment will recognize you for an awake person. They, of course, everybody only projects their own ideas onto other people. So everybody will see you in the way they see you rather than the way you are. They'll never know that you're awake. They don't even understand this idea of awake because they're so fully. Well, I'm talking generally, of course. There may well be exceptions to that, but essentially, most of it will be that's the way it is, and so it's almost like you have to put on an invisibility cloak, and the way you really are is not something that will be shown to them simply because they don't know what it is anyway. Um, but then it requires you to pretend to be a bit like them in a way. Now that's where it gets tricky because how can you be genuine and authentic and spontaneous and pretend to be something that you're not? Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's the pretense that really took it out of me in my last job because it was daily just having
Yes.
to
Yeah.
front up with this pretense.
Yeah. And a huge amount of energy involved in doing that. Hey, absolutely
Yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah. So is there no other alternative that you can see other than going back into that environment?
not yet. I mean, I'm open to the possibility.
Mhm.
I know I may not be seeing an alternative.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, one of the things with being awake, or we say those words, but you know what I mean, I guess that is that we do have a wider perspective, and we are more open to possibilities that turn up simply because we're not as fixed as in our ideas of how things should be or how things will be. So, our fantasies about the future, if they happen, are held very lightly. That's the thing. Yeah. Um, on the other hand, that situation, even just imagining that situation right now, even before you go back in, can be extremely valuable for you because that triggers all of the very things that need to be looked at in you.
yeah,
So that they can be thanked for existing there in that way. So I imagine, and of course it's untested, so I don't have any idea. It is tested in a very minute way for me but I imagine that I could exist in an environment like that and still be authentic and spontaneous and not be affected in a negative way by all the bullshit that floats around that they take so seriously. Um, but I certainly wouldn't be confronting them with it. I wouldn't be trying to change the situation. I would simply be floating in a way that meant that if some bullshit heads towards me, I can just gently, easily move aside and let it go past. Water off a duck's back again, not take it in and get swallowed up by it and all of that. But that's just a fantasy. So that's, you know, something to take in. Yeah. So would you say that the seeking urge is still alive and active in you?
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That
think
tells
that's
me more.
probably like when I had my clear awakening, I think I fell right back into reseeking because I just did not accept that it's this. It's like, nah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of too
Um,
ordinary, eh?
yeah, it was completely ordinary. Didn't like that one bit. So fell back right into reseeking, which has just kind of taken its time to peter out. Yes, do I still go and seek for something? Yeah. Yeah. But I think there's still sort of like going along with the experience of like it's just going to end when it ends.
Okay.
I believe that I am under the impression that you are in the emotional phase now.
That I'm in and like the emotional aspect,
Yeah.
very much so. So I've had a lot of kind of deep emotional all that good shadowy stuff sort of kind of present itself where I've done that exploration. So yeah, there's still a lot of grief that sort of is present for me.
Yeah.
Thanks for the observation.
Yeah, because it's important to recognize it so you don't make a big deal out of it. I mean, of course, when you feel a negative emotion, it's a big deal in the moment, but in the big picture, it's normal to go through that phase. So it's not, you are not lost and everything is going all right, even if you can feel that the whole universe is going into hell somehow. It's just part of the process, and keep trust. And you seem to have people who can help you, so have trust in the process. And life will reorganize itself around work and money and life, and everything will reorganize over time.
So what's been your or I've got it, what's been the focus of stuff you've been through? Did you go through Liberation Unleashed? Have you been in non-duality or
No, so my background has been all through like personal development. So again, that was probably driven out of seeking, or I need to prove myself. I'm not good enough. And I found myself in a coaching program, and everyone was having these transformations and insights. I'm like, where's mine?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So not trusting that my experience is my experience. So off I went down the rabbit hole, and then got into non-duality. Well, I've always probably been a spiritual seeker, just with depression and anxiety. So it was kind of already there. It's kind of already pointing me in that direction. Yeah, and so probably the past, I guess, 5 years, it's been just focusing on like the non-dual conversation.
So you said you had a teacher who was teaching you, or what was that? What was the emphasis there?
So that was with Fred Davis.
Well, I don't know, Fred. That was a non-duality, was it?
Yeah, he's a non-dual teacher. Just to sort of, I guess he walked me through to see the illusion of self.
Yeah, good one, good one. Yeah.
Again, here I am going to practice. I'm not going to trust the experience, but all I saw was just blackness.
Mm.
That was the experience, and then I popped back in, and saw him back on my laptop screen saying, "I don't know why I'm laughing."
Mm. That's all right.
So obviously there was some seeing there, and then I didn't actually have the support of understanding what's next. So I think that's probably where, yeah, it's not advisable.
Okay. So it would seem to me that that one of the things that we could offer you that would be valuable would be some, I'll say the word structure, but it's probably not quite the right word, but give you some tools to use. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm present to that. I've got my own blind spots, because even if I am at work, I really get sucked into the drama. It looks so real to me.
Yes. Yeah, I
And
get it.
I need to sort of contribute something, so it's not so
Yes.
much a drama.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, so
Okay, I understand that. Yeah. So at this stage right now, would you say that do you know the word grok? Have you come across that word?
in the context of, do you understand it? Like,
Yes, but understanding at a kind of a deeper level, understanding it with your whole being rather than just mentally.
I'm going to say so.
Yeah. So would you say at this stage, would it be accurate to say that you grok that there is no self running the show? There's no independent self in there. There's no little person in your head pulling levers and running the show.
Sometimes I think there is a little self that needs to do something. There's also a bit of doubt.
Okay.
Do I live day to day in that knowing? No, in the knowing
No.
that there's yeah.
So
No.
let's go back from day to day to, are there moments in the day when you do spontaneously have that perspective? Moments in a week when you do?
Yes.
You look really troubled at the moment. What thoughts came just then?
Because when I think that I have had sort of spontaneous moments, I come back in and that's where the judgment starts. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have
Okay.
done that.
Yeah, got it.
You
Yeah.
made that decision. So the self just rise up. Oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Right.
There's going to be another job. You said no. It's like, well, why did I say no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Perplexing, isn't it? Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. So what is your relationship with your thoughts? Now, when I ask a question like that, I'm not particularly interested in the answer as an answer. I'm more interested in what arises for you as you think about the question. What comes up? So when I ask you about your relationship with your thoughts, of course, it excites a metaphor of how you have a relationship with other people, and you replace other people with your thoughts. So would you say that you're subservient to your thoughts? Would you say you're friends with your thoughts? Would you say you're boss of your thoughts? Or any version of that, of any of them?
what comes to me is I at times entertained,
Yes. Yeah.
seduced by my thoughts,
Yes.
and I am friends with my thoughts. So the ones that sort of come up and just give me like those deep emotions.
Yep. Yep.
I'm getting better at not kind of trying to get away from that.
Not fighting them, yeah. Okay, good one, good one. Yeah, so I like that there is that variation, that you have different relationships at different times with different thoughts. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So when that no thought turns up, when that judgmental thought turns up, do you have well, I don't know what I'm asking here. What do you feel? Do you feel that it is boss? I don't know quite how to put that. But does it blow you away when you have one of those thoughts? Do you get knocked off or rocked? Your balance get off balance?
Yeah, the condition, like immediately when it sort of appears, the condition is to accept. It's like, yeah, okay, it's me.
Right. Okay.
And then it's kind of like, hang on. But it does take a while to sort of hang around.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So they're
It's
pretty
not easy
insistent,
from,
eh?
yeah.
Do you know where your thoughts come from?
I don't have a clue.
Yeah. Good. Good answer. Do you know where they go after you've experienced them? Be the same answer, eh? You just got no idea. They come, they appear, and they go. Yeah. It's interesting that something that can't be bottled, that no surgeon can find, have such incredible influence on us, isn't it? Amazing, eh?
It's incredible.
Can you see that? Can you
Well,
see that? Yeah, go.
I think it's important just to point out that thought in itself has no power. It's like the meaning we give to thoughts is not in the thought itself. I think it's important to really be aware of it, because otherwise you will give power and to the activity of thinking that it doesn't have. Does that make sense to you?
I'm not sure if it does make sense. Can you say it another way?
Yeah, for example, if I say work right now, the word work will come to you as a thought, right? You will hear it as a sound, and somehow it will become a thought. And if the sound is triggering, you will maybe have an avalanche of thoughts, right? Because of money, because this, because history, and then you are in this kind of like the sound work will push you somehow into the activity of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it will probably have some reaction, and you will start to feel some kind of emotions. And the story of the mind to keep you trapped into this theater is to pretend that the thought has the power to produce the emotion you feel. But it's the other way around. Your system is projecting the emotion into the thought.
So all
Yeah.
the thought
Because
is
here,
thought.
when I hear thought and I think about work, nothing happens. But maybe other thoughts will make something trigger. I just want to be clear that when something happens and you are kind of there's the activity of thinking happening, there is emotion. It's difficult to see it, but if you are aware of it, of maybe just if it's possible to see that the activity of thinking has no power. The emotion doesn't come from the thinking.
Another way to put it might be that
Useful.
those words trigger something that already exists in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the word itself doesn't create the emotion. It's what it triggers. That
Yeah.
is that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, that's better. Okay. Thanks.
And can you see
Yeah,
that?
because you see, this is the thing, because if this is clear to you, then you can be able to focus less and less in the activity of thought and focus more and more in the sensation and emotion part of what's happening. And over time, this will probably allow your experience to get better, more comfortable.
Can there be discomfort if you don't? So what I hear from that is there's this, like, the emotion or the sensation has sort of fallen away when, you know, I get thinking about I've got to find work, I don't have work. And even like the absence of that not being there is kind of, it's like a layer of like, what are you doing? I'm not sure if I've explained myself clearly.
Well, what I'm hearing, it's even when you don't react to the story of finding a work, for example, there is another story that come up.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is a train of thought. This is activity of thinking. It will never stop. But in this process of making separating the both activity, will drastically improve your emotional state. It doesn't mean that you will not have emotion. It means that you will stop put oil into the fire. Because the activity of thought is putting oil constantly into the fire. It's putting wood. It's putting energy into the emotional state. But if you see that the like Vince said, right, that the thought is just triggering the emotion, then you can say, okay, the story is there, but at the moment I will just watch the emotion. I will just watch the the sense experience more than the thinking experience.
Yeah.
And creating space between both of them can be helpful.
So if a thought triggers something, that emotion most likely, it will trigger further thoughts, and we set off a cascade of things that just build up and build up and build up, and next thing you know, we're just a slobbering mess on the floor. It just takes over.
Yeah.
You said that how thoughts can be seductive, and that's brilliant. I love that, because they are seductive, because every thought comes with it with a promise of satisfaction. If you just follow it down this particular rabbit hole, it will give you satisfaction. You'll figure something out, but it never delivers. Thoughts are not trustworthy. They never actually deliver that satisfaction. And if they do, occasionally they do, but it's there for a couple of seconds, and next thing it's saying, well, come on down this next whole rabbit hole. It's next door, it's away we go again kind of thing. So what David's talking about there is breaking that chain of cascading things that happens. So if we give credibility to thoughts, we get chased off into that cascade of emotion that just ends up worse and worse and worse. So what he's suggesting is one of the tools that I was mentioning earlier is that when we realize that something has been triggered, the way to not get taken away by thoughts on that endless journey that only ends up with negative stuff happening is that we shift our focus into our physical sensations. And when we do that, thoughts still happen, but we're not engaging with them. because what we're doing is we're being busy looking at what the sensation in the body is. So here's an interesting one. A feeling is a sensation with stories hanging off it. Right? And so what we do is that we go looking for the sensation and we allow the stories to do what they want to do, but we don't engage with them. We just recognize that they're there and that they happen, and we kind of push the thoughts into the background, you know, like that friend who starts waffling on about something that you're bored with because you've heard it 1,000 times, and you just say, shut up, just go away. Just don't. And they'll do that. They don't get offended. They just go away and they just stop doing it, you know. And that's what your thoughts can do. You can let them waffle on with whatever they want to waffle on with, but you just kick them off into the background and you focus on what is the sensation component of the emotion that original thought triggered. All right. So when you think about, and this is brilliant with work, all you've got to do is think about that work situation, imagine it, and boy, up will come, you'll get triggered. Up will come the emotion. And you can practice with that to head in and look at what is the sensation? Where is it in the body? What does it feel like? Right? And just get closer and closer. And there are some skills you can develop with doing that. And one of them is to recognize that the sensation isn't it changes, it shifts, it morphs, it will just be a moving target all the time. And so as you get closer to it, in the beginning, you'll go, oh, where is it? And you'll say, oh, it's in the chest or in the stomach or in the head or wherever you say. And then you recognize that location label that you used is in fact just a label, but it takes you in that general area. And then you look underneath the label of chest and you get a bit closer to where it is. And you don't need to, you can let labels go and look underneath the label. So when you're looking at for the location, you feel where it is, but you don't have to imagine that that's near the sternum or wherever it is. You know, you just imagine it's there. It's just there. And then what does it feel like? You know, oh, it feels hot. Okay, that's a label, hot. Right. So you get underneath the label and you go, what does hot feel like? You know, where there's that sensation. Is it a pinpoint burning or is it a general warmth area that's spreading out? Whatever. You just chase the sensation in detail. Get really close to the sensation, and the more you do that, and it will shift and it'll change and it'll get bigger and smaller and it'll vary in what it's doing, and you're just chasing that to get closer and closer and closer to it. And as you do that, thoughts get further and further into the background, and it will stop doing it. Now, there's a bit of a trick, and that is that as you get really close to that sensation, there's a damn good chance that it's going to even dissipate. It'll vanish, but it will reveal another feeling underneath it. And at that point, you can then do the same thing, the same procedure, but you're down at a deeper level. So immediately there will be no labels. You'll still go straight towards the sensation, but different stories will be there and different sensations, and it might shift. It'll very likely not be in the same place where the original sensation was. So you just go towards it, go towards it, go towards it. And your body will tell you stories, right? Which will present themselves as thoughts, but they'll be thoughts of a different flavor, different kind of thoughts altogether than the ones that were very wordy and giving you instruction. These thoughts will be impressions more than verbal thoughts, and those impressions will tell you a little bit more about what's actually going on. And it'll never, 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 never be about what originally started this. It'll always be about what that stuff triggered. It's there from a long time ago. It's there from before. It's deeper, and so on. Yeah. So it's kind of like that's 6 months of experience in 3 minutes. That kind of thing there. Yeah. Yeah.
Fiona, is it fair to say, it is fair to say that system has a habit to avoid emotion by activities and being often doing stuff constantly?
It's certainly been my case for probably a good part of my life. Yes.
Yeah.
So
So
it's probably past maybe 2.5 years where I've actually really sort of looked into like repressed emotions and like getting into this sensation of it. Yeah, but there's still like that aversion. If I'm not conscious of it, it'll just be like, oh, I'm just going to go off and do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is in the emotional phase. It's very tricky because we have strong habits. So somehow you know that you cannot avoid your emotion. At the same time, I guess there's a difficulty that you have a habit of not feeling them, and because you didn't feel them for a very long time, when you feel some emotion, it feels very strong and powerful, and it kind of overwhelms you straight away, right? This is what happens sometimes.
Initially, when like the emotions had more space, it was overwhelming, and I would just shut it down. There seems to be, I don't know what the word is, like almost kind of more regulation that I can kind of just let it be there without trying to climb out of it. But I think there's still that habit of, oh, I'm just going to go and check my email.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's fine. I I think to force ourselves to feel an emotion, it doesn't work on the long term. It doesn't work because it's kind of trying to work against ourselves and against the system as it is built in the moment. And I think it's way better to really accept and see that you are able to shut down the emotion. So this is great. You can already see that, okay, I can feel as much as I want. And if it's too much, I can just shut down and go do whatever I want. And it's fine. Don't judge you. Never judge yourself because it's too much or because you do email or because you are avoiding. It's perfectly okay. And everyone does that at some level. So it's perfectly okay. And I think because you feel very triggered already, so my impression is like your normal state, your normal state seems to be already in a emotional activation, so maybe I'm wrong, but what can be useful is to, like say Vince, to focus on sensation and try to take comfortable sensation or neutral sensation, like sensation that doesn't mean anything to you, like maybe your feet on the floor or being sitting on a chair, and the point is to making your your sensing sensitivity growing, and just being able to just feel sensations like that are neutral. And the more you take the habit to feel your sensation, to feel your body in a neutral way, the more you will have space to feel emotion after when it comes up. What I'm trying to say is, like, you don't have to dive into the deepness, of your trauma. You can take the easy path and the comfortable path also. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like I dove into my trauma and I took the most probably difficult path.
Yeah, because the thing is, our system want to heal, And somehow we know that to heal, we have to feel what we are avoiding. So this is healthy. The dilemma is like the dilemma with that, the difficulty arises because we don't have enough space to hold the emotion. So when you go near of it, it's too much, we go away. And by doing this, we build fear around feeling the emotion. So we are in that space that nothing works because I want to feel it, but when I feel it, it's too much. So I
Yeah.
feel lost again. So that's why there is many ways you can watch on YouTube or people, but it is the approach of being able to be with sensations that are pleasant or neutral. It maybe seem like it's a waste of time, but the thing is by doing that, you will grow your ability to be with stronger and stronger and stronger emotion. And the more you are able to be with stronger emotion, the more you will be able to go deeper into the feeling of emotion. So, you know, when if you drink a cup of tea, just feel the taste of it, feel the warmth in your mouth and how pleasant it is and how deep it goes. And you know, very simple stuff. It doesn't have to be transcendental. It has to be very normal. You know, working when you walk and there's wind on your face and your body, just feel the wind, feel the cloth moving. You know, something natural and pleasant. And if you succeed in focusing more and more into those experiences, you will see that you will grow in your ability to hold emotion.
So what's the end result, Fiona? What do we want to get to?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one.
Well, that's good. That's good. What do you imagine it will be like to be awake? More awake?
It's kind of like much the same.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely got hoodwinked into what awakening was going to bring me. So that's, yeah, I bought into all that marketing.
Yeah, I did, of course, I think. Can't talk for anybody else, but yeah, I did too. Yeah.
It's like it's no longer moving towards an outcome. It's just like, well, it's almost like I'm half cooked.
Yes. Yeah, great. Yeah.
I can't not do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what I'm upset about is that it's just become an obsession.
When you said what I'm
about
upset about, you got upset.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about that? You don't have to tell details. Tell me what is your experience in yourself about that. So I see first the experience was that your face changed and you got a little teary and you looked away and you did things that was an obvious result of thinking that situation, yeah, whatever it was. What else did you feel in your body that's not so obvious to me?
Like there's a heaviness in my chest.
Put your hand on it. What part of your chest?
Sort of like lower. Like
Right. Yep. Get it. Mm-hmm. So that heaviness, can you tell me about that heaviness? Was it still? Was it solid? Was it moving? Did it want to contract or did it want to expand? Tell me about that heaviness there.
So it's solid, and it sort of wants to like turn and then like drop.
Right, and go lower.
Yeah, like it wants to open up and then drop.
So when it opens up, will it be heavier or less heavy? Or the same?
It's less heavy, and then there's a sensation in my throat when it opens.
Right. So when it opens, does it release something that goes up into your throat? Or does it?
I can't make that connection. It just almost kind of appears in my throat. I don't know if
Right. Okay. Yep. Okay. So yeah. And this feeling in your throat. Now, tell me about that. Is it what part of your throat? Touch it.
here.
Yep.
So it's a sensation. It's almost like a ring, but then there's tension that is on this side of my neck more than that one. So there's no tension. And it's like I've swallowed like a metal thing that's got caught in my throat.
You said like you'd swallowed something, which kind of indicates that it's going in and down. But before that you were talking about it coming up and out, almost maybe. What are your thoughts about that? Just impressions we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think probably my description of like I swallowed and something's been caught in my throat. So yeah, it was just probably maybe a poor description.
Yeah. Yeah. Caught in your throat and caught doing what? Stopped from doing what? First thing that comes to mind. Doesn't have to be sensible. Just whatever comes up.
Expressing myself.
You're right. Okay. Right. So let's just play with this. All right. Something down in the bottom part of your chest, almost stomach level, but not quite. Heavy and seems to move up and come out as an expression. But we can't quite let it out because first thing that comes to mind. Don't think about it, but if nothing comes, that's okay too.
Yes, it's hard to sort of put words. So it's along the lines of, well, I won't be liked or I won't be loved.
Right.
But I don't
So
know what the word.
that would suggest that what you want to express might bring that about. If you were to express something that wants to come out, the consequences of that would be that you would affect other people in a way that means they won't like you or approve of you or accept you or something.
Yeah, I don't want to make an impact on people.
Right. Even though that's the impulse. So you must hold that down. You mustn't let that out. Mm. Mm. So you said people. Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Definitely my mother.
Right. Okay. So if you are spontaneous and authentic, you're going to be disapproved of, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to be controlled and be a particular way. And do you then get her approval or do you still not get it? No. Nothing. Doesn't matter what you try. It doesn't work, eh?
Yeah.
Mm. It's hopeless. Is your mother still alive?
Yeah.
What's your relationship with her? generally?
The relationship was quite estranged before COVID, so I kind of rocked up on their doorstep when the pandemic happened. So that's been a real delight. But you know, it's not a loving
Yeah.
daughter relationship. It's quite strained, not a connected relationship at all.
Mm. But boy, wouldn't it be great if it was, eh? Do you ache for that? Now you look
Yeah, I think
surprised.
my heart does. The mind says, "No, I'm not going to give her.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not coming halfway. No way."
Yeah. Right. Not your fault. She's a bitch. Mm. So can you see how something like this permeates your whole life? It affects your relationship with everybody. Maybe the more they are like your mother, the more it happens, the more obvious it is. But it really does affect everybody. You the moment you're spontaneous, you're fucked. You know, things are going to fall apart. People are going to not like you. People are going to reject you. People are going to, well, yeah. Ooh, that's heavy stuff, isn't it? But you kind of live with it for a long time. You know how to get around it and so on. But boy, you end up with this suffering kind of thing, eh? Yeah. And
Yeah,
isn't that relationship a brilliant metaphor for that work relationship you described earlier? Same thing. If you told those people what you really think, oh boy, they wouldn't have anything to do with you.
yeah, I can see that connection.
So this brings us right back in a full circle to what David was talking about, how certain thoughts trigger this stuff. It gets triggered, and then we're in an escape mode straight away. We'll just have to go and be busy as a way of avoiding it. I mean, some people will avoid it just mentally by thinking certain things and so on, and no doubt we do a bit of that too. But others will be much more inclined to be active and go and do something. Let's go and bake a cake, so to speak, or whatever. Clean our teeth, drink some water, go to a movie, anything to just escape from feeling this, because it works to divert in the short term, that is. Yeah, and of course it always comes back, doesn't it? It never goes away. It's just a case of how do we avoid it make it as easy as possible in the short term. Yeah.
Mm.
So can you imagine ever being free of this? Can you imagine not being triggered by this stuff?
Not at the moment.
Uh, so would a resolution to this mean that you have a different relationship with your mother? No, I'll take that back. That's a bit too general. Would it mean that you didn't feel this way about your mother, or would it mean that it didn't affect you in the way it has in the past? So that there might be the same relationship, or even that's not right. She might stay the same, but it affects you in a different way. Or do you imagine that she has got to change for it to be okay for you?
Yeah, so it's not about her. She's got to be different for me to be okay. I think what I heard you say, I think there's the past that I'm really grabbing onto, of that's probably just got to release the past, or kind of just not so much grab onto, yeah, like she's done some shitty things. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the work is for me.
Yeah. if what comes to mind here is forgiveness. What do you think forgiveness is? Literally, how does it how and I'm intentionally avoiding saying who we're forgiving or who is doing the forgiving. I'm just talking about forgiveness as uh, as an idea, as a concept, but I want to move it from that level into a very personal activity of forgiveness. How what is forgiveness? What do you think forgiveness is?
It's a good question. I don't seem to have a very strong relationship with forgiveness. So to me, it's been a concept of I need to accept that whatever someone might have, I've perceived as wrong.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you're talking about forgiving somebody else. What if I said, how would it apply if you were to forgive yourself? What would you say to that? First thing that comes up is the best answer you can give me, whatever it is, however crazy it sounds.
I can't.
You can't forgive yourself, right? So tell me what surrounds that. Yes? I see a lot of emotion there. Woo, a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think, there's just been like a treasure chest just opened. It's been, a hard thing. I would be more keen to forgive someone than to forgive myself. Um,
So tell me about forgiving yourself. I don't need details, but what would you forgive yourself for if you were able to do that? What would it be?
being a human, for being imperfect.
How are you imperfect?
Because I've stuffed up throughout my life. I've been unkind to people.
So that brings us back to something. Again, there are all these little circles here. That brings us back to something that's really interesting, and that is that they're implied in that you actually had a choice when you were unkind to people. Did you? Were you? Did you have a choice?
It looks like, well, this is what I can't reconcile. It looks like I had, that I did have a choice.
Well, there is another path. Look, you will never be able to forgive someone else or yourself if you think that the event happened. The thing is, did it happen?
I have a memory of it happening.
Okay. And but this memory, it's about the past. Do you agree?
Agree.
So it's the past happening right now, other than a memory. So you see, you have no idea if the event had occurred in the way the memory is presenting to you.
Yeah. And I've seen that from time to time where I've just
Yeah.
dropped it. Yeah. And I have seen it again, but it's very sticky. Where it's
Yeah, it is.
me and my actions, it's almost like this internal bullying. Even if I've recreated it several times over, it's like this internal bullying.
Yeah. Well, one way to because Vince proposed the way of choice, and I proposed the way of clear seeing that the past never happened. It seems crazy, but you have the forgiveness of yourself is not forgiving what you have done. It's forgiving that you are holding the memory that is inflicting you pain. Because no one is imposing you this memory in the way it is, but your own self.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's pretty brilliant. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it can really shift from why have I done this, why I have behaved like this, from why am I holding this memory so much against myself? Why do I need this memory? Why do I like, somehow entertain them in me? And
It's
often
almost like
it's
you want to
because,
keep reminding yourself you're a shitty person.
Yeah, like I'm a wretched human being.
yeah, but you see,
Can't forget about it.
often the energy that is entertaining this mechanism is the addiction or the habit of an emotional mood, an emotional state. I want to feel shitty, so I need those memory to feel that this kind of space because I'm used to this kind of feeling shitty. And if I don't feel shitty, who I am, what is life? I feel lost. Can you perceive that? So this is a way that that can be a way of perceiving forgiveness, the process of forgiveness.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's a lot more simpler. When Vince talked about forgiveness, I wanted to roll my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw in the word identification here. Can you see that these stories are an identification for you? That these are stories about Fiona, that you they have hooks.
Yeah,
All of us, like myself, David is a thought. Okay, it's a thought. It's true. Yes, it's a concept, but it's also a feeling sensation and feeling. It has some kind of emotional mood to be David. Like some people have personality that the mood is very happy. Others are sad. There is all of the spectrum, right? But somehow we have tendency. So there is some kind of of emotional mood to be Fiona. And when you start to do emotion and to integrate emotion, this emotional mood is challenged because suddenly it can change, the system can be confused. And in the level of sensation and emotion also. So it can be good just to be aware of it. Oh, that's right. I have the habit. I want to be in this shitty mood, in this, whatever it is for you. For me, it's kind of depressive mood, or nostalgic, and someone else will be anger, whatever. There is this kind of habit. So when you start to perceive it, you can see, yeah, my system like that somehow, because it's used to.
Yeah.
And don't judge yourself for that. Don't comment, don't complain. Just notice. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one that's really hard to get the message across to a lot of people, and that is that all these things we talk about, it almost seems like they're instructions to carry out, that they're things that we have to do.
Yeah,
And
that's how it landed to me. I'm like, oh, this is going to be something I've got to do at practice. And
yeah, and we like that. We kind of, it gives us something to grab onto. Yeah. But it's that control thing again. We can't decide. I mean, decision happens, but whether we carry it out or not is another story. So we can't really decide to do these things. I describe them as seeds that we cast out, and some will germinate and some won't. And the ones that don't, well, we'll just throw them out again until they do germinate. But essentially, it's like you can't do and you can't not do. Whatever happens is whatever happens. And what David was saying about not judging, you go, well, okay, well, I won't judge myself for doing something, whatever. And then you find that you do judge yourself, and then you go, oh, I realised I just judged myself. That was bad. I better not do that. So you just had a judgment about the fact that you had a judgment. And so then you go, oh, I just judged my judgment. That was bad. So you just judged the judgment of the judgment. And so you can go back and back and back, and really you're only going to go about another three steps back, and before you're just rolling on the floor laughing at how ridiculous the whole thing is. There is no, oh, you can't do it. You can't judge. You can't not judge. If judgment happens, it happens. So really, this whole thing is a case of how do things change? They do change. We know they change, but they don't change because we want them to. They don't change because we do anything to make them change. They change because they change. We can make up stories about how they change or why they change, but they're only stories. A good story I like is they change because all of the conditions required for them to change exist, and they're all lined up. But we don't know what those conditions are. There are a million of them. Everything that's ever happened to you in your life becomes part of them. Can you see that the nature of your thoughts is habitual? It's just the way things develop for us because of our experience, and that's what happens. But why are my thoughts now totally different to the way they were 20 years ago? I don't know, but they are. The things happen. Yeah. But we don't know how or why. So there is no point in getting uptight about anything because it's just a happening. Seeing is the most logical, obvious answer to me as to how things change because we see them. So that's interesting when it comes to thoughts. There's that, like, wow, thoughts are just amazing. If I say a thought of a pink elephant, there's two aspects to that. There is what it was about, the pink elephant, and there is the fact that a thought about a pink elephant occurred. But the fact of the thought requires the content of the thought to exist. A thought doesn't exist without content. But there is that too. So what we're not talking about something different when we're talking about that thought. right? The pink elephant and the fact that the thought about the pink elephant is there is the same thing, but they're two different perspectives. So one, we can be totally involved in everything about a pink elephant. There's the content of the thought, you know. We've got this giant animal that's pink, and it's you know we're involved in what it's all about. Usually that's about an emotion, something emotional. So we're totally invested in it. We're just expressing the content of thought. Our whole being is expressing the content of the thought. Or
Yep.
we can step outside of the thought and see the fact that the thought occurred. So we're kind of looking at it from the side, if you like, outside of it to the side. And there is the fact that this thought occurred. And we know it's about a pink elephant, but we're not really engaged with the pink elephant bit. We're just engaged with the idea that the thought occurred. Yeah. And so that's what we're learning to do here, is we're learning to step out of the content of our thought and observe the fact that the thought occurred. And that observation changes the nature of our thought over time, not instantly. I mean, sometimes it does happen pretty quickly, but mostly it's a bit of a slow burn. And so what we actually do if neuroscience is we move from left brain to right brain. We start noticing the right brain way of looking at things instead of the left brain control, criticize side of things. Same thing being noticed, but from a different perspective. Yeah.
But I
And
think
we
that
want
is very
that to become the new
interesting.
habit. Sorry, David.
It's the seeing is the healing, in the sense that when you see that the memory come up and that no one imposed you this memory, and the way you interpret this memory, no one is imposing you this interpretation. The way your body react to it, no one is imposing you this reaction. The way you feel about it, no one is imposing you anything about it. When you start to see that your emotional experience, your thinking experience, your perceiving experience has nothing to do with what is around you, the more you clearly see this, the more there will be spontaneously healing, in the sense that every system wants to be seek for being in harmony with whatever harmony is, right? So it will happen spontaneously, and then the whole point of healing and choice is kind of very almost meaningless, secondary. Just if you see clearly what's happening, how experience unfold, and what it is, it will organize itself naturally, spontaneously, and more easily. So really, seeing is the doing. But the mind will never accept this. I mean, you probably, all of us, will close this meeting and the mind will go, so now what? Now what? No. This is the mind. This is the activity of thinking.
So now what?
Those last days, I'm tripping a lot about cause and effect. It really, yeah, I find it very, very interesting, this exploration of cause and effect. I had this very strong belief that the people around me, the event, like what is considered, what the mind consider like outside, right, was causing things inside of me. And I'm seeing more and more that it's really the opposite. You know, my human experience, it's it's an expression. It's an effect, you know. It doesn't cause anything. You know, the people, what people say, the events, what's happening. They are not the cause of my emotion. They are not the cause of anything. And I find it very, very interesting to approach my experience and what's happening in my life that way. I find it very, very rich.
Mm. So I just want to say, Fiona, I'm glad you're here. I think this is a great place for you to explore this stuff. And, there are no rules here. You can say whatever comes to mind, whatever. Everything's accepted. Yeah.
Thanks for allowing me in, Vince.
I didn't allow you. Thanks for being here, though. Yeah.
And thanks, David, for the pointers.
How's things been for you, Lynette? Haven't heard your voice for a while.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I just got aware of me trying to do things as well. Like, yeah, but the day before yesterday, something very strange happened. Or let's say, like, also the days before, I kind of, yeah, I felt that there was something blocked emotionally. And so I just lay down and tried to feel into it. And then, like, I just had to cry, but it was not really, there was not really any thoughts attached to it. Or I didn't, it was not about anything, or maybe yes, but I don't have any clue what it was about. And then the day before yesterday, because I have to say that for me it's always a bit difficult, a bit challenging to feel into the body because I'm not used to it so much. I mean, most of my life I have been like super only in my fantasy, not in my body. And I'm kind of, there is still always kind of avoiding it. I don't know. It's not the easiest thing for me. I never did sports. I never tried. Yeah. But then I kind of, yeah, the day before yesterday, I could really feel into it. And it was interesting because there was like a sensation of a contraction here, but also in my navel point. And then somehow I touched the 2 points and it was kind of, it felt like there was a connection established or something. I mean, it's not because of touching it, but that's what the sensation was like. And then I really, it really came over me, and it didn't happen to me, I don't know, never actually like this. But the whole body was shaking. I was like crying, but really weeping. And but I found it, I experienced it as something very beautiful. And it was very welcomed. I don't know. Yeah, and
Was
I
that
mean,
like a release? Would you think it
yeah,
was the
yeah, it was released, and after that, I felt like, because before I think I noticed that, yeah, okay, I still get lost in my thoughts, and even more, I have reactivity to thoughts also, even if there is always like sometimes a bit delayed, but the seeing of it. And then I think some part of myself was judging and telling, thinking like, no, I should not react, I should not do that. And so after this release, I think this being rigid towards all of this is like kind of gone, or I feel more relaxed. And then I think like, yeah, okay, that's just what's happening. Then it's like, yeah, okay, I'm identified with the thoughts, and there is reactivity, but so what? It's
Mm,
totally
mm.
fine, you know? It's like, yeah, I mean, of course, I was wondering afterwards, what is it? Is there some sadness? What does it have to do, yeah, with my life situation or anything? And of course, I have possible interpretations, but it was not really so important either.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah, a moment ago you said something that I thought was important, and
Mm.
that when you said that, so what?
Mm.
Was that so what a way of dismissing what was there? Was it a way of ending it, or was it recognizing that it was it had no inherent meaning? What? Yeah, I don't want to I shouldn't put words in your mouth. I should just say, what do you think that was about? The so what?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm still like looking into that as well, because recently it felt sometimes a bit like, so what? I don't care.
Yeah,
You
a
know?
bit dismissive. Yeah.
That's not something saying like, yeah, so what? You know?
Mm, mm.
Mm, yeah, I mean, I noticed that there is like some kind of, yeah, like Fiona said, like this um, perfectionism or something, that you think you have to do something, that you have to practice it,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
you are in control. And then I notice I'm not, and then I say, yeah, so what? You know, so it's
Mm,
not the same as seeing that
absolutely.
there is no control, and that there is nobody who even has to say, so what, you know? I mean,
Mm, mm.
but
Yeah,
it still seems to happen
yep.
that there is sometimes this kind of, not again. Yeah, also I noticed that because sometimes when there are like really persistent thoughts, and I'm not so much friends with them, I have to say, then I would like to be able to laugh, to have a laugh about them, but it's still sometimes that I think like, come on, you know, and that's maybe
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the best way of looking at these thoughts, because it's kind of a negative affirmation or something. I don't know. It's like
Mm,
giving them even more power, because then you are like, it's like a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
negative
Absolutely.
identification.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit tricky, because then it just happens, you know? And even even having this negative identification with this thought is nothing that I could have any control of. So
Yep, for sure. But you're seeing, this is the big one. You're seeing what's going on. This is,
yeah,
and you're curious about things as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there have been like several situations that were super interesting as well recently. It's not so necessary to talk about them now. I don't want to take up so much space, but in general, I think that, yeah, it's somehow, I would say after this release of this crying and weeping and shaking, I have more trust in the seeing again. So that's really enough, like just to see,
Yep.
not thinking that I have to do something actively.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah. No, that sounds good.
Because yesterday, for example, after this release, was a day when I had a lot of compulsive behavior in a way. I mean, that I was sometimes I can work on something like learning a language or something, and then it gets like really this hyper focus
Hmm.
hours, and it's not really, it doesn't really feel healthy because it's like a bit over the top.
Mm.
But then I could even see like, yeah, well, okay, then it's like one day there is a release, the other day it's like diverting,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. Well, that's the way it works, isn't it? It's there and not there, and there and not there. Yeah. Yeah. So that hyper focus is very much a doing thing, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. And if it
but
happens, it happens. But seeing it happen, that's the key. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like sometimes a bit strange to be in, yeah, it's happening at the same time, like the seeing and not having control.
Mm.
I mean, not being able to stop it either.
Mm. Yep. So exactly, it's you see it and it stops or it doesn't stop. You know, but seeing it, yeah, seeing it is much more likely to contribute to it stopping next time or
Mm.
stopping sooner or something. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, then also I remember I told you this story about my colleague who said like, yeah, we don't have anything for vegans. And then that was also something that triggered an identification with like an interpretation, like, I don't know, does it exist, the word square-minded or something? Or narrow-minded?
Yeah,
Narrow.
narrow-minded is
Yeah.
commonly used. Yeah.
And it was really like growing into a story about like, those people here in the province are so narrow-minded and blah, 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 blah. And I could even see
Yeah.
that this was a story, but
Yeah.
still, the story would have an effect on me.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
this same colleague came around at the office and we had a talk. And then she started to tell me about that, they want to, that she has to change the place of her work. And it's like, it means to go like half an hour more by car, and that recently she had she was at the hospital and they detected cancer, and then suddenly I was in this super personal conversation with her, and I told her, yeah, but I mean, you have to set a priority, and you have to care for yourself now and don't think about what the others say, and if they have more work or more stress because of you not appearing or something. And then even we hugged, and it was like super emotional. And then I felt like it doesn't have anything to do with this image that I had about her because of this. No, we don't have any vegan things, you know. So I was really kind of grateful for this moment, because then I had different situations that were like, that triggered something in me, but then I could relate to this experience before, and I saw immediately that well, this is like somehow the same thing, you know.
So it took you out of your racist views.
Yeah. Well, misanthropic maybe. Just
Okay,
even,
okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So again, I love it. I love the way that your fluidity is adjusting to the circumstances that you're in, and that there is that seeing going on all the time. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Mm. And then there was a different situation. I mean, my sister is not doing very well after a separation, and she doesn't seem to be able to let go of it. And I understood somehow that she was reaching out for me, and she did party in her garden, and then she said like, yeah, but nobody's coming. And then I decided to go there, and it was like a trip of like 5.5 hours by train, and it's a bit far for just staying overnight and then going back the next day. But I thought it was kind of important to be with her. And then it was a bit challenging for me still, because I mean, I was smoking joints and drinking alcohol, and I'm the only sober person. It worked very well. It was just like, at some point, I said, I'm going to the tent now, because I can't seem to be in this situation like for many hours, because it's a bit like, I don't know how to interact anymore at some point.
Yeah. But you
But
stayed sober, eh?
yeah, and it was totally fine, but there was like, maybe just because of the social exhaustion and the
Yeah.
long trip, that when I was lying in the tent, I felt a bit like, yeah, because
Bit
I
tempted.
no, I just felt like, before I had felt a bit lonely, and I had felt a longing for being with people. And then I noticed that this being with people is not really the fun that I had thought it to be, because it's still a bit, yeah, exhausting for me somehow. And then it's like, there were some people who knew me from like my old personality, when I would have
Yeah.
like,
Smoking and drinking and whatever
yeah,
person.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they kind of, it's always kind of weird when they refer to this old personality that I can't deliver to them anymore. And then, yeah, it's
So
just,
tell me this, and this is something for Fiona too. Did you feel like there was some attempt on their part to get you to be that old person again?
mm, mm, no, not really. It's just,
Right.
it's
Right.
something to do with myself. I
Mm,
want to connect, and there is still some memory of how I used to connect with them we are basically consuming together.
Yeah.
And now it's sometimes a bit awkward when I have this outside view about how social connections work a lot via let's have a drink together, and it's just like it's like a symbolic thing that
Yeah.
I have to be careful, like not to judge it, but I actually do sometimes. Then it's like, okay, yeah, now I'm outside of this thing because I don't take part in it, you know? So
Yeah.
that can feel sometimes a bit like, maybe the child who is not played with or something. But I also don't want to. I mean, for nothing, I want to get back to consuming and
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I can observe that there is actually a bit of judging and a bit of like, no, I don't have anything to do with that anymore.
Mm.
And that's kind of a negative identification as well, because
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But you see that as you're doing
Yeah.
it too. I think. Yeah, that's a big one.
And the thing was when I woke up very early when they were still all asleep, and there was a bit of this sadness, like I would like to feel more connected, but I don't feel connected.
Mm.
And then somehow I was looking at the ceiling. Well, it's not a ceiling in a tent, but like this cloth
Yeah.
above me. And there were some raindrops and some insects walking, and I was just like observing it. And then somehow it got totally clear to me that I was preoccupied with this fantasy about not being close to the people or not connecting to the people. And I missed like being attentive to being in a garden, being in nature, being in a tent in the morning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then
Absolutely. Yeah.
it was just like a little moment, and then the thoughts came back about
Yeah.
not being connected.
Yeah.
But at least it was kind of this little moment when there was the understanding of that.
Yeah.
And then I thought like, yeah, okay, maybe that will extend or maybe not.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. Yeah. They're moments I call magic. They're moments
yeah,
of
it
magic.
reminded
Yeah.
me a bit
Yeah.
to something. I think it was some Tibetan Buddhist master. I don't know. I don't remember who it was, but that it was like an image that I really liked, like a lightning in the night or something. It's just like a second, but it shows you somehow where
Yes.
you are or where,
Yeah.
and that's
Revealed. Yeah.
was a bit like this. It was just like a tiny moment, but I understood like, yeah, I could also enjoy being in the garden now, but there's like this
Yeah.
kind of thought going on
Yeah.
about not being connected to the others.
Yeah. That's classic, isn't it? That stuff can just obscure reality so easily. Yeah. Mm. Very good. Yeah.
And then also what was beautiful was that, I think the relationship with my sister has reached a quality that it never had before, because now sometimes we are really talking, and I mean, I can even kind of a bit like tell her about what we are talking about here, and she's
Okay.
quite open to it. Yes, she understands.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, we were lying next to each other, and then I gave her a hug and we were cuddling, and it was something that we didn't do since our childhood. And then when I was already back home, she wrote me thanks for the hug in the morning. I really liked
There you
it.
go. So that
It was,
connection you were missing, you discovered with your sister.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was nice because I guess from the teenage times until now, I mean, we had a good relationship, but there was always like a bit of distrust, maybe, and but really subtle. And now I think it's not there anymore, and it felt really like I can't remember any situation, but when we were children, really. But it was very nice.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it sounds beautiful. I love it. I love it. Yeah. How have you been, Louise?
Good morning. Oh, I was just
Right.
really enjoying that. It was lovely.
Wasn't it?
It was so lovely. Oh, really good today. I've had I'm still on 32. So I have a question in a minute. I don't know why this wants to come out, but it wants to relate what happened the last couple of days. There was two big incidents that happened, quite different. One was alcohol, not me, but I was around a lot of alcoholic chaos, and I found myself having to step up and be the adult for the first time. I wasn't actually in it. I was actually having to look around. It was quite serious. Somebody had had a stroke after binge drinking till 5 a.m. and collapsed, ambulance, all that kind of stuff. And there was kids around, so I had to manage that. And then I had a long drive, and there was an accident in front of me, and I had a bit of like flashbacks after that. Quite a serious accident, and yeah, kind of shook me up a bit. And again, I was the adult, and I got home, and I just sobbed. I just felt like a little girl on the end of my bed again, just like I was when I was a child. And yeah, it was just quite shaken up actually.
So tell me about the sobbing. Was it releasing for you?
Sorry, say that again, Vince.
The sobbing, yeah, the feeling of the sobbing. I want to know, was it frustrated, or was it what was it releasing? Was it what was the feeling about the sobbing? Was it a good sobbing, or was it a what?
No, it was quite terrifying. It was aloneness and responsibility and having to cope with life, and that the people that I thought were going to take care of me aren't going to be able to take care of me.
So
It
they were the
quite,
same people
yeah,
you had to be an adult with?
yeah.
It was almost the
Yeah,
reverse thing
yeah.
happened, that you
Yeah,
had
I used
you
to
had
kind
to.
of, yeah, I used to look up to these people. Yeah, I mean, I'm recovery for 3 years now, so I've got a little bit of perspective on what the alcohol does. Anyway, so it was really interesting when I came on and you were talking to Fiona and you were describing the process of sitting with the sensations. And I did that. I actually did that with somebody, guided me through that, and it was in the stomach. Because yesterday I got up and I couldn't work. My brain just couldn't function. It was like total overwhelm. I just like could barely put one foot in front of another, which was really strange. And I kind of couldn't work. Could barely look after my child, my teenager, for the day. I just did it minimum I could do. It's like just too much. So I walked through this process, what you just like you described, and there was I don't even know why I'm describing it again, but it just seems to want to come out. And there was this like this shimmering light around the seeming edge of the body, which seemed to be resisting. There was light outside and it was like resisting inside. And then there was just like a letting go, and the light just came, everything was just consumed by this light.
So it started to be,
just,
the light seemed to be holding stuff in, and then something broke. That's what comes to my mind. And then the light seemed to suck it out. Is that accurate? Is that what you're saying?
It wasn't sucked out. The light just folded into where it was pushing out, like it just all consumed the resistance.
Right. Okay. Yep. And it was, and it just let go.
Yeah. And now there's, and even now, like there's no edge, there's no simmering. It had colors, so it's all just like, if I think like it's just all white. There's no edge. And then you talked about looking at thoughts, what's coming up and it was about not realizing that I had a lot of belief that other people would look after me, not that they would, but they had the capability to look after me. And there was a moment of terror, and then I realized that was a huge belief. There was a huge belief, and that belief just like, I just saw it. And
that's how beliefs change, isn't it? They don't change because we want them to. They change because we see something. Yeah, beautiful.
But as an adult, like, it's no big deal. That belief is like, oh, is that what was causing all the suffering? And it seems so big.
It's like that. It's like that. Yeah, it's the classic monster under the bed. When we finally shine the torch, there's nothing but a bit of dust under there. Yeah, that's great. So to follow through, how you're feeling now is like there are no solid edges, that you are just floating.
No.
Is that no? Tell me what you're feeling now.
No, not floating, quite grounded. As I was talking before, I was looking around. It's like just seeing from here, and it just seems like there's a less layer of I don't know, it's just fluid. It's
Would you say a layer of solidness is gone?
Yes, I would. Yes, like I can go and imagine that line, and it's not. I can't sense it. Like I can see that there's an edge to this sofa, but it doesn't feel as separate.
Great.
Yeah.
Does that feel good?
It just feels normal. It feels
just
neutral.
Is the way it is. Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
What an amazing 24 hours you had.
And when you said, some days you have this, some days it's that. That's life. they were two big things, seemingly big things, but like I can't not look at them anymore. I couldn't let those things occur. Well, I didn't have any control. I can look back, I didn't have any control, but the whole process was undoing something. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I suppose why I'm asking is that there's me trying to understand, but I know I can't understand it. Yeah.
Oh. So the how and the why, of course, are ridiculous questions, and they can only take us down rabbit holes. But the what is good, and the what for you is that what you described is, yeah. And that I mean, tell me if I seem to be making something out of nothing here, but it seems to me that belief about being taken care of is something that's actually been a huge part of your life forever and ever, and that's gone. That's
Yeah.
something else now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was thinking that exact thought came up as somebody else was talking earlier, and like it's not actually true. Like I have so many support. Well, they're not even support, but there's outlets and there's resources, and actually just being here and feeling that resource today is it feels so different today. Yesterday was terror, and today is like, I can feel things today. I can feel, yeah, the lightness. Yeah.
So that maybe heaviness is not the right idea, the right feeling. So the armor of yesterday is gone. There's no need. There's now no need to resist or to protect or something. These are just things I make up. I don't know if they relate to you. But
Yeah. That's what it felt like. It's like there's something inside just going, no, I can take care of this. But the ironic thing is, it's kind of back to front now. It's like, I know that I'm being taken care of.
Yeah.
But it's not but it's not in the things or the people that I thought.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we can make up stories about, like, it's a story of trust, or it's a story of the universe looking after you, or it's whatever, it's like, yeah.
No, it's not me.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could just ask a question, because I'm going through the second theta.
Yeah, sure, of course.
It's about doubt. And I don't know if I've missed the obvious, but I don't know why it's called doubt.
Yeah, well, it's a crazy word, It is absolutely, like, it's the moment where everybody seems to know what doubt is until you ask them, what does doubt mean? What is doubt? What? So what is it that you're experiencing about doubt?
Bear with me. It's like a second guessing. Like it's like you're shown something, but you're not quite sure whether to trust or to believe that that's true or okay. It's like that second guessing.
Yeah.
Challenging beliefs, challenging existing beliefs. Yeah.
When you said that, my brow just furrowed. You know, I was going to say my frown turned up. You know, and I'm going, it's that. When that happened, it was like I was saying, what what is she talking about? What is this? What do you mean? What is this? So underneath this thing that you call second guessing, there is that what is, right? So there is something, and then on top of that there is something else that says maybe that something is not right or whatever. That's the second guessing part of the thing, you know. So underneath the questions about is it right? What is happening? Is it? Do I believe it? Don't I believe it? No. What is the thing that is actually there? Because that's that. If you've got that, the rest of it's irrelevant. What is actually there? Do you not believe? Do you believe? What is it that you're second guessing? What is it that is actually there that you're having doubts about?
That, like what I think or believe is I'm going to be told at some point that that's not correct.
Okay, so what is it that you think or believe that you might be told about later? What is it that's there? So don't tell me it's a belief. Tell me what you believe.
My thinking, how I think about things, what thoughts come up. Oh, they're not mine. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a thought there. Don't worry about who owns it or who doesn't own it. There is a thought there that you believe.
How to do things, how to live a life, how to be a mother, how to have a relationship,
Right.
how to do work.
Wow. Okay. Gee, you better go to university to learn those things.
How to interact with people.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you don't believe that those things can just happen, that you don't know how to do those things. That's in the common vernacular, but right. So that what you have doubts about is what's been happening all your life in one variation or another, that those things can happen. You're thinking that you have to bring to them, yeah, you have to control and behave in a certain way in order for it to be okay. So in that area, there is distrust. There is distrust that if you are spontaneous, that everything will work out. That everything will work out good or properly or okay or whatever. So is there an idea that if you let things be, let things happen, that they will happen in a not so good way?
Well, they just happen. It could be whatever way. Yeah.
They do just happen, don't they? And so you know that you don't actually have control over that, eh?
Like this weekend, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a classic example of how things just happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it is it making something out of nothing? Is it that you this mistrust about everything being okay if you don't control it? Is that a total furphy? Is it?
It's like someone's looking over my shoulder, telling me that I'm not doing things right.
Okay,
Or
now
there's going to be I'm going to be told that actually you shouldn't have done it like that.
right. So tell me the first person that comes to mind who is looking over your shoulder.
So I've just come out of a 8-year abusive, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive relationship, and that's still quite fresh.
So that's the person who'll be telling you, who'll be over your shoulder saying, yeah, you didn't do it right, whatever, however they might say it. It wouldn't be like that if they were abusive. It would be much more aggressive, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of silent treatment and that kind of stuff. So, and then parents and my grandma, a lot of this. Yeah, and
So your
work.
grandma was there when you were young, doing that to you.
Yeah. I lived with my grandma for a while. Yeah.
Right. And what about your parents? Were they doing that to you or your mother? Was your grandmother your mother's mother or your father's mother?
My mother's mother. Yeah.
Mother's mother. So was your mother doing the same thing as your grandmother?
Yeah.
Because she would be taught by your grandmother to do that, wouldn't she? Yeah. And did you learn to do that with anybody?
Probably my children. And so there's some guilt on top of that. Yeah.
Right. Guilt and probably a bit of shame there too, eh?
Yeah.
Was that the first abusive relationship you got into?
Yeah.
That's the only abusive relationship you've had since you've left home?
My first husband was an alcoholic. Probably why I got together with him. It was fun at the time.
But
So very absent, emotionally absent at the end. Wasn't really abusive like this relationship. This is the first relationship, and it took 8 years to see what was, and probably this work as well, to see what was going on. It's quite shocking actually. Look, as I uncover more, actually what was happening. A lot of it was hidden, buried, denial. Yeah.
So you get the feeling that there's a lot of stuff to work through?
Yes, I do. I do. The more I do, I realize. Yeah.
You know that a lot of this is the foundation for a lot of this stuff is the one thing, and that when that thing falls, a whole lot of other stuff falls. So there can be a lot of stuff there, but it can all go at once. You know, a lot of it can go in the one go. Yeah. And it certainly seems to me that you're in a beautiful place for that to happen. It's you know, I love your openness. It's really good. Yeah. And you're open with yourself as well. Yeah.
I'm just noticing as I'm talking to you, there was an expectation to be contracting into this field, and I don't seem to have any fear about what I'm talking about. It's just staying staying open. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
That's new.
That's new, and it's you. We could even make a poem about that, but it's you. It's staying open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not contracting back into a defensive state. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I feel quite hopeful. Just another day, do what needs doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mental capacity today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the brilliant thing about some of this stuff that comes to mind now is that it's like we step outside of time. You know, the past is just a memory. The past, the future's a fantasy. That now, and this is all. This is everything. Yeah. It's just great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Oh,
very
it's
welcome.
lovely having a voice and being able to talk like this. Thank you. Really is.
Mm. And we can't even appreciate ourselves how much this precipitates change in us, you know, in our habitual way of looking at things. Just opens up possibilities that are just wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. There was just one more thing. Is there's been the other shift is like just being with people and just even strangers or people I didn't like kind of triggered before. Just have I just looking at them in a different light and seeing the positive and the you talked about forgiveness. Like it's just an acceptance that they are talking how they're talking, they're being how they're being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like I'm presenting how I present from the building blocks that put all that together. Yeah, much more acceptance.
The word innocent comes to mind. You know, everybody's innocent. You know, whatever it is that they're expressing is innocent. It's just the way it is. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And just before we finish with you for today, I want to come back to this doubt thing. You know, and I kind of we lost it in the talking, but it doesn't seem to me that doubt is an issue for you. I get this feeling that it's like you're creating something there with the doubt. That if you just stop and allow it to be whatever it is, there's no doubt. What there is recognition of what there is. Right? There's no requirement to question what you know. What you know is what you know is what you know is what you know. You know?
It's just getting wider. Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And there's no time to do something. There's no rush. It's just it's literally an unfolding as it's supposed to unfold. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fetters are good and bad. You know, one of the good things about the fetters is that they can help us work with more subtle stuff. But the bad thing is that they promise us a structure and something that we can work through and measure our progress by and stuff like that. And that's bullshit. You know, they can't deliver on that one at all. You know, So
before I did the fetters, I saw the video where they talked about it's not a linear structure. So yeah.
Well, some people do see it that way. There are those who teach fetters that do see it very linear, and some are very, very how can I put it? Very strict in whether a fetter's been broken or not broken. It's just I just have to smile when I come across that because it's not my experience at all. You know, we can be working in 10 fetters all at once, and we don't even realise what we're doing. You know, and so there's no need to apply the model of fetter over the top of it. You know, if you have doubt, if you have thoughts that come up that you can describe as doubt, then so what? It doesn't have to be second feta stuff. Could be called that, but no, let's just look at what it is that you're doubting and so on. I imagine that you don't have any doubt about the fact that there's no little self in there running the show. As you've seen so many times, you've seen that things just
over
happen.
and over and over.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So you certainly. So one of the things that I came up with somebody else recently that just was a stroke of brilliance that accidentally happened was that I I asked him. I said, "Have you got? Is your doubt?" He said, "I had doubt." I said, "Is your doubt about the fact that you've seen that there's nobody running the show, or is your doubt about the idea that you're awake?" And it was quite clear that his doubt was about the idea that he wasn't awake. Nothing to do with the first bit of stuff. Nothing to do with seeing
Yeah.
about through self. He was quite clear about that one. But he said,
Yeah.
"But I'm still not awake. I don't think I'm awake because I've got these thoughts that I call doubt." And it was just a joke, you know. It was like making something out of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
real doubt. It was just something he called doubt. It was just a bit of confusion that he called doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel a bit that way as for you too. It's just a little bit of, you know, the mind wants things really clear. You know, it wants to be able to put things in slots and you know knows exactly what's going. But that's just the mind. It does all sorts of weird shit. We just laugh at it. We let it do its thing and laugh at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just obvious from how it was, how it seemed to be yesterday, and how it's just black and white. It's just,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So forget
yeah.
about the feta stuff. Don't go down that road. Just look at what life will offer you every day. It will offer you a chance to look at a remnant of identification that comes up
Yeah.
that you've not seen before because it's never not been triggered. And then every day, you know, and sometimes maybe it's triggered, but we miss it because we're too busy doing other things or whatever, you know. So life offers you this chance. You get triggered, and you go, "Oh, hello, there's a bit of identification." That doesn't mean anything, or if it does, you could say the most it means is, okay, there's something to work on, something to look at. I shouldn't say work on, but something to look at.
Yeah.
And when we look at it,
Yeah.
guess what? In most cases, it's gone. As soon as we look at it, we go, well, that was pretty stupid, wasn't it? We laugh at it and it's
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it comes back,
Yeah.
okay, then let's look at what's underneath it. But yeah, first chance is good a chance to just dissolve, and if it does, no need to go back there again. If it
That's
keeps
what it feels
coming up,
like.
then okay.
It's
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so we're
Thank
probably
you so
really
much.
looking at we're looking at way beyond that. If we're looking at fetters 4 and 5, maybe beyond that.
Mm.
Beyond that gets pretty esoteric, you know. But yeah, 4 and 5, desire and aversion, they hang around for a while. There's usually a lot of that stuff that we haven't realised goes on. Yeah, just look at how important it is to have your dinner table set the way you like it, or what happens when somebody sits in your favourite chair. You know, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's much more valuable. Yeah.
Just life.
Yeah, just life. Exactly. Just life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one question about LU. I haven't looked into LU. Is that something? I mean, I'm just watching Penila's videos at the moment. Is that enough? I mean, as you said, life is enough, but
Yeah. Well, yeah. So one of the things that you know that I asked Fiona earlier on that is a revealing thing is how much is the desire for seeking? How much is the seeking uh, hook still there? If that's still really active, then there's stuff to work on there.
yeah,
So I recognise when I look at my own past. Oh, it's a long time ago now, but at some point, probably about a year after I woke up, I'd say, I just settled into something where I had no desire to look for anything more. You know, I was quite happy with what was there. There was no more seeking. You know, I gave away all my books. I gave away everything. I didn't watch any videos. I didn't do any more meditation. It all just fell away. I just had no desire for that anymore. And that to me is a big indicator, you know. In fact, here's an interesting story. It was about 10 years later that I came across the fetters, and you know what? That actually ignited some seeking in me again. For about a whole month, I was seeking again. You know, I was going, oh yeah, all that. I better find that stuff to work on. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I realised what a joke that was. Yeah, because there was no suffering attached with what came up, but I almost induced suffering by saying, well, I better fix that. That's something that needs to be worked on. And so, yeah, that's a good indicator, that seeking desire.
Yeah. In that case, there is still seeking there.
Yeah. Okay.
If I'm being
Then
brutally honest, yeah.
yeah. Then go to LU. Go to LU and work with a guide for a while. That can be a good thing. Yeah. And the really good thing about LU is once you go through the gate, then you're able to guide other people. And that's like working with the fetters. That's where you will discover stuff, remnants of stuff in you, of identification, because you're working with other people and they'll trigger stuff for you. You know, it's just,
That's like it's like sponsoring people in AA. You learn so much more. You get
exactly. It is exactly
you
like
see
that.
other
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. How about you, Elliot? How's things going for you?
I mean, it's been pretty good for me, all told. I spent a whole bunch of time doing nothing and tolerated a lot better than I expected it to. It's actually quite all right. Maybe it did burn out some of that intense seeking energy. So everything's just a little bit more. Yeah, it's kind of just okay how it is. Right now, I'm lightly looking into what the observer sense or the sense of being a witness is an experience. I've sort of bit by bit checked off, thoughts and sensations and intentions, and I've been noticing the automatic nature of mental events and stuff quite frequently, and that's sort of like, okay, well, it's not that, and it's not this, and it's just sort of okay, well, I still have this. Still feels like something's happening to someone. It feels like someone's seeing something. So I'm trying to find out what that is, and it's quite elusive, but I'm not particularly fussed about
Yeah.
dialing it in one way or the other.
Okay, so I heard you say witness, looking at the witness stuff, and that pricked my ears up. And then when you said again a minute ago about seeing, who's seeing, so the word identification comes to mind here, you know. So do you identify as a witness? Do you identify as the person seeing what's going on?
It's all a bit fuzzy as to what, like reflexively I'd answer, yeah, I'm witnessing something or I'm seeing it, but then you go and look for it, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is exactly. It's really hard to pin down. It's like, okay, can you look at it? No, because it doesn't seem to be a thing you could look at. It's always in front of you, and then, well, what's the you that it's in front of? And it leapfrogs back and back, and it all just buzzes out a bit. It's like, okay, I'm not quite sure it was that. And then there was sometimes a sense of, is it the sensation of separateness, of distance? Is that space? Is that thought? But not trying to mental it out. Just feeling into it, I guess, is the best word for it. Just trying to sense without analyzing it, sense what it is and see what happens from that, basically. Poke my head in, as it were.
Yeah, sure, yeah. What do you reckon, Tyler? What would we tell Elliot?
I wouldn't tell him anything.
Okay.
It's been a couple of times of that.
Yeah, I'm just Yeah, have fun. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Where are you looking from though?
Exactly. It's how do you
Yeah.
look at what you're looking from? It's sort of it's like it short circuits the mind a bit when you try and pose that question. It's like what it's like what's a square circle? Like you don't know how to parse that. Like okay, so ask and then switch off the thinking about it and just be it to whatever extent I
Can
can.
you be it? Because you talked about sensing it, but can you sense it?
Only no, I can't sense it directly. It's like an implication, or it's like there's a space where that should be, but it's not actually there.
Is it always there?
It's not always, at least conscious of it. I don't know if that means it's not there or it's not being seen, or if those two things are the same. But I'm not always conscious. I'm not always aware of feeling like that. Like you can get absorbed in things, and that sort of meta awareness or perspective just doesn't come to mind at all. But then when you're doing something like I'm going to look for this, then it's sort of there implicitly, isn't it? Because like there's an eye there's an eye looking, but I've sort of set that up by saying I'm looking for something.
Yeah. Does it kind of feel like you're creating it?
That's definitely, yeah. I don't know how to. I don't know if I would jump to say yes, I can see that right now because I don't think I can. But that possibility is certainly. It's like, yeah. What if this is just it's the doing of that it's creating itself by looking for it or by assuming it, and
But
then well
who's
that
talking right now? Who's having all these thought processes about what it could be right now?
the thoughts are just appearing, aren't they? They're just conditioned. So I've had lots of instances of I can sort of do it right now. It's a bit hard while talking, but you can have the knowledge that it's like I'm not choosing what to think or what to say. It's those are retroactively sort of ascribing that to me, but they just happen. Like you catch yourself in random thoughts all the time.
Does everything that you're saying now sound true?
Yeah.
Right, but does anything that you're saying now actually reflect anything about your current experience?
Like right now, it's there.
Like everything that you
The
just
thoughts
said,
and the words don't.
yeah, like everything that you just said that like kind of implied things about what's happening now. Without any of those thoughts there, does it actually feel like any of what you said is happening right now?
No, not without thoughts about it.
If you have no thoughts, can there still be the experiencer? Right now, look at it.
There's hearing and seeing.
Is there a
I
hearer?
guess.
Is there a seer?
Not that I can see, not that I can find.
Who's
It's
looking for it? Who's trying to find it?
exactly, I don't know.
Who doesn't know?
Yeah. Go back to the other question you asked. If there is no thoughts, is there anybody there doing all these things? You didn't answer that one. Sorry, Tyler.
Don't be sorry.
No, that's the doing. That's I guess I've sort of created a separated sort of the doing and seeing. Like I've volitional actions I can sort of not all the time, but see examples of, oh, what I've taken to be, I decided to do that was not that at all. That was automatic. And then there's, oh, seeing is already automatic. It's just here. I'm not doing it. That's, yeah, right there. It's the, I guess it's a space thought maybe, because it's like without
What are you
thinking,
trying to figure out?
it feels like there's a, I don't know, a point or a place where this is happening. It's like relativity. Like there's a sound that's over there, and there's a site that's in
Right,
front
but
of
what
me,
are
and I
you
can
trying
hear
to
this other
figure
thing.
out? Why are you thinking? Why are you saying all this?
I'm trying to answer the question, I guess. I'm trying to, because I'm trying to locate what this thing is that I think I can feel, and then it
But you can't.
disappears.
But you
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop trying.
So just stop trying.
No, but how can you stop?
Yeah, right. Can't start or stop, so it's happening on its own.
And what is happening on its own is just personal interpretation by Elliot, or by this meat suit called Elliot. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
It's not what actually is happening. What's actually happening is an unknown thing. That's the absolute. But what your experience of what is happening is the experience that is happening, which is unique to that particular meat suit. And it can't really be described, can it? Way too complex for words to do any justice to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are no thoughts about it, would it still be happening?
Would what still be happening? Would a unique perspective sort of thing still be happening? This whatever Elliot sense going on,
I mean, does a
or
newborn baby know that it's the experiencer?
might guess not. I don't know. I'm not a newborn baby, so I can't say for sure. But
If you
it
couldn't
doesn't
say anything, if you couldn't say anything for sure, could you still be the experiencer?
I suppose not. If there's an experience, saying there's an experiencer is saying something for sure, right?
Are you looking for right answers?
I'm trying to feel into this spot that feels like it's in the middle of my head, behind my eyes, where it feels like there's something happening. And
No, but you tried that like a lot and like it doesn't do anything.
yeah,
There isn't really that spot though, is there? Like you can't see that spot. You can't really feel
no,
it either. All you can do is like think about it.
yeah, pretty much. There's some kind of sensation, but I don't know what it. Like literally, it could just be, oh, the top of my scalp is tense. That's it. It feels like it's inside my head.
But it's not a sensation. You've tried to feel it, right? And you can't.
It's like it's a sensation out of the corner of my eye, so to speak. It's there, except when I look at it.
Well, When you say how it kind of short circuits your mind when you look for it, just see if you can, is it there when the mind is short circuited? Or does it take
No.
time for it to come back?
Yeah, it takes time for it to come back. And when it's not there, it's like impossible to say anything's there. Like there's stuff, but labeling it, defining it, orienting it sort of goes out the window, and it's just a field, something, some dimensions, some properties. There's nothing to like do with it, I guess.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
It's good. I like that. Mm.
Do you still wonder who you are?
Wonder if I am anyone. Like it feels like, you know, I can take it comes and goes automatically. Like the noticing is just as automatic as everything else. It's not I've decided to remember this right now. It's like it comes and it goes, and I can see all this sort of just happening automatically. And then there's plenty of other times where that's not the case, and I'm me doing the me things, making the me decisions, having the me reactions, and then that goes again, and it's swingy and cyclical. And I think I pretty much got to the stage where I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like that. That's okay. We'll stop predicting as much, or there's like this actually does feel like a sensation when I get to future or past, like fantasy rumination, or it feels like it's like a rubber band just sort of drawing me back into now, or like tired of that to a degree. It's like, okay, no, I know, yeah, we've seen that, we've seen this before. That's not happening right now, and it's not like a painful pressure. It's just it snaps back, it stretches out and it snaps back, and it stretches out and it snaps back. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. It's quite tolerable. I mean, I could tolerate a lot of things I didn't think I could for a while. So I'm doing the whatever interpretation I'm taking of, you know, you've asked me to look at something, like, okay, I'll try that out. And at least in my honest opinion, I'm not particularly searching for any particular answer, or I'm not expecting a certain thing to happen, but it's like, be cool if something happens. I'm interested, but I'm not sort of fixated, I guess I'd say, like I was to a much larger degree before. It's kind of given up. I'm wrestling reality into submission. It's like, I can't do this. And it's fine that I can't do it. Whatever. It's good. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
There's nothing to figure out. You know, you look for the I as if the I refers to something. It's just how we talk.
Yeah.
It's like if you ask what is I, then it feels like you're separate from the I, because you're asking what is I. But then if you ask what am I, it feels like, oh, that's first person. Right? But like,
Yeah, it's a language convention rather than, you know, a discrete
yeah, but
thing.
knowing that doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
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 You're just a thought. The same way, I don't know, the same way gravity is a thought, the same way fairies are a thought. You can't look at them, you can't touch them.
Yeah, like I feel like I've gotten that, like you said, it does help though, and on its own. It's like that I'm a thought is also a thought.
Yeah. But there's no like, it's rigged. The game is rigged against you because you're looking for the I, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm looking for something that's not there to see through it, to see that it's not there.
The I, no, what? You are the thought you. Does that make sense?
The thought you specifically.
Like, I am I. That's all I am. But there's nothing I refer to. I am I. But it's nonsense, right?
Yeah, label is label. That's what it is.
Yeah, because the label I is the label I.
Yeah, I is the word, the sound, the label I, and that's all it is. It's not.
Why would there be anything else it is?
But probably only because you've been told that by everyone around you since you're however old that it refers to something. You sort of just learn it by osmosis, don't you? Because everyone acts like it's a real thing.
But
That's the
now it's
dumb
like,
thing.
have you learned that I is just I from me? So now you know that?
Now, like I can't exactly like if it was there, really you could find it, right? If this is a thing, where is it?
Yeah.
I've searched pretty thoroughly, I feel like, over the years. I feel like I've looked pretty hard. It's just when are you going to take no for an answer?
So just switch it around. What Tyler's telling you is that everything you once took to be actual exists only as thoughts. Their thoughts turn up, and the thoughts of I refer to other thoughts about I. But they only exist at that level of thought. So outside of that, what is there? We took away all the thoughts. What's left?
So out the thoughts, there's sensations, various
Yeah, okay.
kinds.
So you could be, if I stuck a pin in your leg in a state of deep sleep, where there are presumably no thoughts, would you think your leg would pull away from the pinprick?
Yep.
Would react to that? Yeah. So we could say there is sensation that happens for whatever reason, whatever stimulus there is, that doesn't require thought. And it is in all the ramifications of that, whether we stick the pin in any part of your body, whether we shine light in your eyes, whether we clap our hands next to your ears, and any of the five physical senses, they produce a response, a reaction when they're stimulated. if we then extend the idea that maybe our mind, maybe thinking, is like those sense responses for the same reason, like those other senses, for the same reason that when a thought turns up, we respond to it. And so that in that way, it's similar to any of the other senses being stimulated. So that response to a thought is an experience, isn't it?
Hmm.
We're not, no way are we referring to an I, we're just referring to things that happen. So a thought turns up, you respond to it. And in normal daily life, that response will beget other thoughts and so on. They'll cascade off into a never-ending spiral of thoughts that goes all day until we go to sleep.
Hmm.
And that's about as close as we can get to anything called an I, but it's all just thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
The response isn't thought, but the thought itself just refers to other thoughts. So why are you here, Elliot? What do you hope to get out of being here? What comes to mind? First thing that comes to mind. Don't think about it. You'll get
I want to
fooled by
find
the
it.
thought.
Yeah. I want to find it. It's interesting. It feels like there's something going on with the world, and like
Yep. Okay. So
that's like, I'm like, what is that?
you're having a response, and it's a pleasant
Yeah.
response, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great answer. I love it. Yeah. So that's about as useful as most thoughts can be. They can be entertainment value. We can have a pleasant response to observing our thoughts. They're pretty much not useful in any other way than for entertainment values. But there you go. Yeah, good one. I'm glad you're here. I like
Thank you.
that. Yeah. How about you, Kenneth? What would you tell Elliot?
Hi. What would I tell Elliot?
Hmm.
I guess uh even Elliot acknowledging what Tyler or Vin's saying, whatever they're saying, even that acknowledgement is the thought arising, not Elliot. That's not Elliot.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, good one. Mm. And even what just came out of your mouth is not Kenneth. It's just words. Yeah, absolutely. Mm.
I saw this quote by UG Krishnamurti where he just says, I'm a dog barking.
Yep,
Just like that. Yeah. This stimulus and response.
absolutely. Yeah.
But stimulus and response don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just sounds. It's just that our sound like this, and dogs barking sound like dogs barking.
And there's a lot of other similarities too, I think. You know, our dog will bark at the slightest sound outside the house. It'll hear a car going past and it'll bark at it and so on. And trying to stop it barking is hopeless, absolutely hopeless. There's no way I can stop it barking. And that barking at anything, that barking at any sound is like, whoa, don't we see that in a lot of people? Yeah, don't I see it in myself? Yeah, yeah, great. Yeah. That's a great one. I love that. Yeah, yeah. Usually Krishnamurti is good, really good. It's kind of like the ultimate, non-duality skeptic kind of
Yeah.
person. I love him. Yeah. Have you got anything you'd want to explore, Kenneth?
Not necessarily. Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah, good. It's good to see you, and I often don't ask you things because I figure you're already in a pretty good place, but you jump up and ask if there's ever anything you want to get involved in. Yeah, please
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah.
And Bianca just looks so bored with the whole thing. That's my projection, of course. Yeah.
I was thinking about your question, Tyler. Why am I here? What am I trying to achieve? And I think I imagine that awakened person accepts what is. And I think it is the internal conflict I have, that I know that accepting us is good. It's the way. But from my heart, it goes like no, no, no.
And do you see, like this is what jumped into my mind, do you see that no, no, no comes from a belief that what is not acceptable? It's not right, it's not good, it's not however it should be, or something like that.
I was thinking about it. There is a lot of bitterness and anger, and what comes, the first thought that comes is, I was deceived.
Well, I would agree with that. You were deceived. We all were deceived, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of deception.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who deceived you?
Me, myself, everyone. And it's no one's fault. They were deceived.
You can't accept what is.
I can't.
Yeah.
Can you accept that you were deceived? That's easy to accept, isn't it?
I don't know. There is so much anger, but I think beneath there must be hurting.
Good chance. Yeah.
Being deceived is painful.
But you already said, and you already know that they didn't deceive you with any malicious intent. They deceived you because they were deceived and they believed it to be true. So there was there's no blame, is there? But
Even
there
if
is,
it's
you do
with
have
the
blame.
best intentions, it still hurts.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But I saw you recently, well, maybe not so recently, but in the past I saw you almost blame humanity for that, not people, but a general thing. Yeah. So does that?
Even more.
Yeah. So I see.
More than people. the
Right.
whole world.
Everything, yeah, existence even, yes. So that's still there and very strong by the tone of voice, and you folded your arms and leant forward, and yes, even more. So there's the anger behind that one. Yeah. Mm.
Too bad.
I love that. Great. The essence of humour is that sudden switch, eh? There, there it was. Ooh. Yes. Yeah, just as I was starting to feel sorry for you.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
You can't accept anything. And it doesn't matter. I mean, what is whether you accept it or not. And what does it even mean to accept something? It's just more thought. There's no, how can you accept something? I can raise my hand, right? I can talk. I can't accept.
Yeah, accept is like discovery. It's something that happens or not. It's not something you can do. But even what is isn't what is. What is only what we think what is. It's our interpretation of something. So it's not actually what is at all. It's just our interpretation of it. And everybody's got their own version of that.
Yeah, and acceptance is part of it, or not accepting it is part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's good too. I like that. Yeah. Mm.
I can say that for now I accept, but I don't accept.
Yeah. And you kind of know that you accept that you don't accept. You just there is that feeling that says I accept. It's not just words. There's a feeling about the rightness of the fact that you don't accept, that you accept that you don't accept.
Yes, because it's so um it's just tiring to fight this rejection, and you should accept, you should accept.
Mm, mm.
Who said you should accept?
Me. Yes, but it's internal. It's like two parts fighting.
That's a good description of human suffering. Two thoughts fighting.
Unless we can accept that two thoughts are fighting, and then there's no suffering. I shouldn't say unless we can accept. I'm saying unless we do accept. That's probably better. Yeah.
And I said that every time when there was a major change in my life, there was this thing that I can't live like that anymore. Now I feel that there is this sense when I think about accepting everything as it is. And there is this sense that I can't live like that. I couldn't.
Does it feel like you have a very strong belief that things should be different?
They should not be at all.
They shouldn't be at all.
Mm,
Hmm.
that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a recent experience, only I don't know, a few weeks ago, a month ago or something, where a woman, my thoughts about a woman brought up irritation for me, and then it was pointed out to me that that was resting on top of something else, and what I immediately saw was that it was resting on the idea that the world should be different to the way it is. You know, maybe it should be the way I think it should be, but it should be different to the way it was, and the way it actually is. And seeing that brought forth laughter, brought forth and what accompanied the laughter was the idea. Well, what a ridiculous thing to think that the world should be the way I think it should be. It is the way it is, not even close to the way I think it should be. How crazy, how ridiculous is that? And that just dissolved. That changed my belief. That just dissolved the whole idea that I hadn't realised, but actually did exist, that the world should be the way I think it should be. So there was that seeing how ridiculous it was changed the belief. But you don't see it as ridiculous. You take it very seriously, it seems.
Why should I take seriously the belief that the world should be as it is?
The world shouldn't be as it is. Do you see that? You see how ridiculous should is, the word should? It's like when you say something that you think is wrong and then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. What does that mean? What does that actually mean? It doesn't actually mean anything. What was said was the only thing that could have been said, that should have been said. You know, what isn't, can't be, and shouldn't be. There's no difference between these. What does should even mean? It doesn't point to anything real. It's not that the world should be as it is or it shouldn't be as it is. It's that you're just making all this shit up. It doesn't even mean anything. You're just saying.
And
You
you can
see,
substitute the word shouldn't for should. They're both the same thing for both. But I hear something else in what you say. You're not just saying that the world shouldn't be the way it is. You're saying it shouldn't even exist. So there's another level of seriousness there in that I can't. It does it doesn't it doesn't it doesn't compute. That's Yet I recognise and I accept that level of seriousness is there for you. I just can't understand it. I can't follow it. Yeah.
if the world exists, how can the world should not exist?
Mm, And I have a feeling, but it's all coming from emotional level.
What if I say this is it and there's nothing you can do about it?
I know this.
How does it feel? You feel angry? Can you
Hurt,
bring up, sorry. Did you say yes?
hurt.
Hurt. Just feel hurt. You can use this as a mantra if you want. I want things to be XYZ, but they're not, and there's nothing I can do about it. Then feel whatever comes up. Just grieve that. Grieve your lifelong wish for things to be the way you want them to be. Because the world doesn't care about what you think or what you want. Yeah. It's pretty cool when you come out the other side of this, though.
Maybe you can't imagine coming out the other side of it, but I can imagine you coming out the other side of it, which of course means nothing. It's just my imagining. And if it doesn't overwhelm you, you could change that mantra into not just how things should be, but the specifics that how things should be is non-existence. If you were a genie coming out of a bottle, you could snap your fingers and there would be no world. That might be a more accurate mantra for you to play with. But if it brings up too much, no, go step back a bit, be more gentle with yourself. I'm thinking, it's coming to me here. If the world suddenly didn't exist, if you did have that genie and he snapped his fingers and the world didn't exist anymore, you know what? I wouldn't care. It wouldn't worry me in the slightest. I mean, not that I wouldn't know it either because I wouldn't be here, but even if I would have to still be somewhere to know that the world no longer existed in order to feel anything about it. But if it was the case, I don't think I'd care. It still is just the way it is. Non-existence, whatever that is. Pretty thought-provoking stuff with that. Yeah. Could we start again and do it better? Is that part of that? I don't know. I
Not
can't
really.
imagine. Yeah. There's a great spot on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy where they decided that they'd bring up this false alarm about the Earth ending in order to get all the middlemen, all the bankers and lawyers and solicitors and all the middlemen, all of the bureaucrats probably. And they said, well, you go first and go and find another world. And they put them on a spaceship and sent them out into space. And they got rid of all the useless middlemen in the world. And then the story follows them, and they land on a planet. And they get off the spaceship, all these middlemen, and the first thing they do is they start talking about their capitalistic ideas, and they monetize all the leaves on a tree as a way of starting to trade things and bring with them exactly what they left behind at Earth. And then the irony was, it turned out that the planet they landed on was Earth, and it was they'd gone back in time. But yeah, it was a great. I reckon that the man who wrote that was definitely awake, because he had a sick sense of humour. It was just brilliant. Yeah, Douglas Adams, he was good. Yeah, yeah, there was a ironic. They started again, but they brought the same shit with them. Yeah, so there's probably no hope. Yeah, so we have to stay in non-existence if that can happen. Yeah. Okay. Am I making light of a somber moment? I kind of am. I think maybe, but yeah. But it's time for me to go and cook tea. So, yeah. Ooh.
Okay, enjoy your tea.
Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy.